On page 36, it talks about electronic submission. And I think we talked about this a little bit before earlier, that it used to be that the federal government was really moving toward electronic submission, but because the system had gotten kind of overwhelmed, now they're taking some paper applications. But if you're going to apply online, you have to register at grants.gov. If you all think that you may want to apply for a federal grant, then tomorrow you should go to grants.gov and open up the link on how to register and get the process going. See what exactly you need to do. You don't want to wait till the last second to try to do that, because it may take 3 to 5 days, may take even longer. And you're going to be all stressed out while you're trying to do a proposal, so you don't want to have that added burden. Yes? Okay, she said on the grants.gov page, you can register as an individual or as an organization. In the past, I've always done it, had the organization register. The individual thing is relatively new, to me at least. So I'm not sure, but I think that if you're an organization, if you're working for an organization, then you should have the organization register. Any other questions? Yes. I'm sorry. Okay, the question was, can you register as an organization if you haven't gotten your 501c3 status approved yet? I'm not sure about that, but I think that if you go online and start doing the registration process, you'll see what information needs to be there. They also have like a guide to registration that should answer all those kinds of detailed questions. Any other questions? Yes. Sorry, I can't hear you. Okay, so yes, have we gotten to the section about choosing the board? And there is no section about choosing the board in this. But actually, you reminded me of something that I meant to say as soon as I stood back up. This somebody in the audience had said, is to remind people to fill out the evaluation forms. So please make sure you do that. And the reason that reminds me is the last question on the form is, what other topics would you like to see workshops on? So that would be a good topic for a different workshop. Okay, I'm on the top of page 37. It is strongly recommended that applicants do not wait until the application due date to begin the application process through grants.gov. That is critical. Please don't wait till the last minute, because the computer goes haywire, you have a big thunderstorm and your internet is down. I'm telling you, anything that can happen will happen, so don't wait till the last minute to do it. Okay, 39, submission dates and times. Due date for applications for this one was July 7th. And it even explains to you what the due date means, and that it has to be received by 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tells you where to mail it to, if you're going to hand deliver it, and so forth. I'm on page 40 now, late applications. Any application received after 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the due date will not be considered for competition. So again, I'm really trying to emphasize to you, don't wait till the last minute, get it in on time. Because I had one experience. This was the worst grant experience I ever had. It was on the day of the catastrophe in Waco. I was working on a Head Start proposal for an organization. Actually, this story illustrates a couple of things that I've talked about. In the application, it had very specific guidelines for each section, how many pages each section could be. And you would be disqualified if you went over in any of those sections. So there were some things I had to finagle using abbreviations and so forth to get all the sections to fit properly. I submitted it to the organization I was working with, and the person who read it didn't like all these abbreviations. Now, the only things I abbreviated, it was for a Head Start grant, were their terminologies. So the person reading it from the Head Start program should have known what those abbreviations were. But she gave the proposal to another staff person and said, write these things out. So then she gave it, when she gave it back to me, it was way too long, because these were these terms that were very long, and they threw off all of the page numbers. So then at the last minute, I was there trying to fix it back. This was a very long time ago. Well, if you know when Waco was, whatever year that was a long time ago. And I couldn't just put it back to the old version because there were other things that were changed. So at the last minute, I'm there trying to fiddle with it to get it to fit the page limitations. Got it done. The thing was due at 4:30. Somebody else at the organization, first of all, everybody else in the organization was watching TV with what was going on in Waco. Grabbed somebody, it's like, all right, jump in a cab. We're in DC, so we could just race down there. They got there at 4:35. And that was like the worst experience I've ever had. I don't want you all to go through that. So please, give yourself enough time, read the guidelines. If you have anybody going over it, make sure that they have read the guidelines and they're not going to screw up something unintentionally that's going to end up having your proposal rejected. Okay. She mentioned that this is really important if you're doing it online, uploading it, because everything on your end may be fine, but if you have all these people from around the country trying to upload at the same time, then the whole system slows down. So you may not have done anything wrong, but you don't make the deadline. So I can't stress this enough, because really, you don't want to go through all that work to get your proposal together and then you miss the deadline. Okay, page 42 has some other submission requirements. On page 43, now this is another extremely key section, the review criteria. This is really the key section here, and this is how you're going to organize your proposal. You see that it has the project summary or abstract, 3 points, and then it tells you what needs to be in the abstract. Objectives and need for assistance, 10 points. One of the things that I do when I'm preparing the proposal is I look at the point value for each section and kind of estimate how many pages based on the points. So for instance, and I'm going to use this because the math is the easiest, the narrative is supposed to be maximum of 25 pages. The objectives and need for assistance is 10 points. So I look at that as 10 percentage points. So since the whole thing is 25 pages, 10% of that is 2.5 pages. So I go through all of those and figure out how many pages each section should be, and that helps to give me some guidance when I'm writing it of how much I should be writing for each section. I mean, it's not something that you really need to stick to exactly, but it helps give you some guidance.